right. Welcome, everybody. My name is Paul Lathrop. I'm the Deputy Director of New Media for the Second Amendment Foundation. This is the Daily Bullet for March 31st, 2021. Joining me, Rob Morse, Self-Defense Gun Stories, Polite Society podcast. He's got the Slow Facts blog. He writes for AmmoLand. Dude, you're everywhere.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here with you.
So, let's get started right off the bat. First of all, I gotta say, where did the month go? It's, I swear that the calendar just keeps accelerating.
Aren't you waiting for the first signs of spring in South Dakota?
They're here. I seen some trees budding today. Yes.
Yeah, we're dodging thunderstorms. Next week we'll probably be into hurricane season. Let's jump into Arizona, okay?
Yeah, do it.
Gun rights bill goes to Governor Ducey. Quote, if the federal government imposes new restrictions on guns, it's going to have to enforce them without the help of Arizona law enforcement and judiciary. Majority in the state Senate voted for legislation to make it illegal for state and local governments and employees to enforce, administer, or cooperate with any federal law, act, treaty, rule, or regulation that is inconsistent with any laws of this state regarding the regulation of firearms. Well, it turns out Arizona has their own Second Amendment. It leaves out the militia clause.
Yes.
All this now, again, this is in a newspaper, AZ Capital Times. What they don't tell us, and I couldn't go back and check, Paul, I need more practice. Does the bill state the standard of review? Meaning, is this an infringement with a balancing test? Is this an infringement with strict scrutiny? Meaning, when federal regulations are viewed, do they promote the government interest in the narrowest possible way? Yeah, that's where the details lie.
Right.
And I couldn't look that up for this vote, for this bill. If some of our listeners, they're more numerous than we are, they're smarter than we are. And do any of our listeners know if they'll write in the notes, we'll spread the information as it becomes available.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to remind everybody just that if you comment while we're live on the air, we'll get your comments up and talk about them.
And we'll give you a gold star.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And Rob will buy you an adult beverage if you ever meet him in person. So just say.
I will do that.
Anyway, let's. Arizona's not the only state to do this. South Dakota has a version of this. You mentioned that Montana, Wyoming, a few others.
Well, Wyoming and Georgia are reacting to the COVID crisis, where they're saying, hey, no, you can't close down the right to keep and bear arms because of a virus.
Right.
If anything is essential, it is our inalienable rights. Okay, you don't close down news and radio stations because of COVID and a virus, so yeah, they've got to clean up their act and leave gun stores. Well, what I hope those bills include is that governments in the states where permits are required must continue to process permits even if there's an outbreak of a pandemic.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. We are getting, now the comments are coming very quickly, so I want to get a few of them in. And as I thought might happen, the comments are taking us on a whole different direction. Big John 410 says, last time I missed reporting on Delaware House Bill 125, which essentially ends home building firearms for personal use. You know, you've been able to build your own firearms since, 1776. It's right. Just most of them are not very good. More recent comes the 80% lowers.
Remember that the ATF recently, meaning in the last few decades, defined a firearm as the receiver.
Mm-hmm.
Before these days, okay, you take the receiver, you can build a match grade gun. You can turn that receiver into anything.
Yes.
And we've seen people do that with ARs, the Lego kit of firearms. So, and now we find out that the way the ATF has interpreted the lower receiver, the lower of the AR, it's not actually the receiver. It incorporates the trigger group. It begs the question about a number of pistols now that have a modular trigger group that can go into any number of firearms.
Oh, SIG.
Where's the gun?
Yeah, SIG system.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Couple of more comments here. Ralph, get the correct button here. Ralph says freedom is spreading, and I'm gonna. Yes, in free states, freedom is spreading. Rob, down there in Louisiana, I mean, you guys still have permitless or constitutional carry up in your legislature. Tennessee,
yes,
is getting it. Tennessee, it passed and is just waiting on a governor who said, "I get it to me quickly. I'll sign it yesterday." Iowa, it passed the legislature. The governor is playing coy with it, but in free states, freedom is spreading. And then David Wilcox. Go ahead.
Oh, no.
David Wilcox has already got a specific drink he wants you to buy him.
That's a deal. You and I were just in Florida. There is a vast difference between states, and we're seeing that difference heighten. New Jersey's becoming more of New Jersey. Florida's becoming more of Florida. Florida, fortunately, might rescind their prohibitions on carrying in churches. Beautiful, great news. We need more of that. And as you mentioned, Kentucky, Iowa, Montana, we've seen the division between blue and red amplify. We're seeing people vote with their feet. They're leaving blue states. Well, yes, the middle class is leaving. The blue states are resorting to importing illegal aliens so that they don't lose too many congressional seats. But you're right. Yeah, it's the great sort.
I seen a post from our mutual friend Miguel Gonzalez on Facebook a few days ago. And there's nothing, business will tell you what poll numbers won't. And to get a U-Haul and trailer to go from New Jersey to Florida was really expensive. To get a U-Haul to go from, I want to say it was like $3,500. It was over $1,000 less
cheaper going the other way.
To get a U-Haul going the other way.
And by the way, this is spring break, so there are all kinds of people moving all kinds of ways. I keep seeing U-Haul. We're still recovering from a hurricane, but it was interesting to drive through Florida. A lot of people are on the move, Paul. But imagine you've been locked down for months and somebody says, we're open. We're not open for business. We're open for life. Mm-hmm. By the way, you can get a gun down here. You can protect your family. You can protect your possessions. Wow. What an attractive inducement for people to move to red states. It's working.
Yeah. We're getting comments going all over the place. We'll try to get to as many of them as we can. Oh, it's great. Tim Johnson, how about using a digital trigger? I don't know about, I guess I'm not familiar with a digital trigger. I know about binary triggers, but I don't know. I don't think the digital is the same thing. Rob, help me.
Yeah, there was a time, and as you'd expect, in the Olympics, people will take every possible advantage. So literally they had like a camera shutter, the camera cable. You'd shoot, the trigger was in your left hand, you just supported and aimed the firearm with your right. Then they said, that's not fair. And they went on to, an electric trigger, so there's not even the motion of a cable that would disturb the firearm as you fire. You could, but a digital trigger is monstrously dangerous. You and I know we can make a switch close when a fly lands on the contacts. You and I still want 4.5 to 5 pounds so that in a moment of stress we have some tactile feedback.
Yes. And specifically, I mean, I've taken training, multiple training, where we work on pulling in the slack and knowing exactly where that trigger
Where it's going
break
to break.
is, and going just release to trigger break, and yeah, I've exactly. I want the saying is the trigger is my safety, and my finger on the trigger is my safety. I want a trigger there.
Right.
I really, really do.
Right.
Tony Novak says, "Are you saying I could turn a 1911 into a rifle?" Well, sure you could.
Oh, sure you can.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely you can.
you can buy it. Long barrel, shoulder brace. What's that called? Yeah, go. You can go get it at the local store. I think you can actually have it delivered by mail.
All right, let's see here.
Don't tell Diane, she'll freak.
Yeah, exactly. This I've been getting this one coming up the last couple days. We've been doing this. White House announces Biden will issue executive order on gun control, and so it begins. Yeah, I've heard that. I've seen this and that. I haven't seen him moving a whole lot. I think they're waiting till Kamala takes office, honestly.
Well, and to that end, if you think red states have passed laws that say we're not going to help the feds now, if Biden tries to issue gun control by executive order, there will be a stampede to say, bring a lot of friends because we're not helping you. Remember, most law enforcement is local, almost all of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
By the way, that's if the ATF wants to come grab a gun in my county, parish technically, they first let the sheriff know, hi, we're going to come visit a guy. He's been given a firearm. We think there's a problem. We want to pick it up. Because otherwise, I pick up the phone, say, help, someone's breaking out my door, and you get blue on blue fratricide. Whereas, they don't identify themselves. I think they're breaking in, and I'm yelling for the cops behind them to shoot these bad guys. Whoops. Yeah. You talk to the local sheriff if you're at all smart.
George Geller says, Control Alt Delete Trigger manufactured by Microsoft would be interesting.
Thank you, George. That's clever.
Yes, absolutely. And there is Ralph says, trouble is, blue state socialists like California are moving to Arizona and voting for socialists here. That is an issue. I hate my home state. Just too radical, too bad. And then what do you do when you go to the new state? You vote in the same
way
stuff you had. Yeah.
Yes and no. And let's take Arizona, for example. The Arizona Senate recently told the county of Tucson, and I forgot what that is, to go back and recount those ballots because you never turned them in to I think it's the county treasurer, as required by law. And the county treasurer resigned. He said, the county board is violating state election law. I'm not putting up with it. I quit. For a while, there was a question about whether the Senate would issue a arrest warrant for the Tucson City Council. We'll see what's coming down.
Yeah. Yeah.
I may have that wrong. It may be the county, not city. Excuse me there.
I'm going to go back a little bit farther. That one that I missed, talking about self-built firearms. This is an interesting take. David Wilcox said, think about what's being turned in at recent gun buybacks. Junk. You know what, though? I am all for that. If as long as you can prove it works, go to the Home Depot, spend $10, get that $200 check from whoever's doing that gun buyback. Good on you, man. Absolutely.
Paul, you and I call that junk. In parts of the third world, that's not junk.
Yeah.
That's what stops a bunch of guys with knives outside your front door because you and your eldest son have a slam fire shotgun. They're not coming through the door.
Yep. All right. Let's see here. Sorry, I got Jeff, and this is entirely possible. This is one way they could implement gun control without implementing gun control. I believe they'll implement high taxes on ammo first, for sure. Yeah, it's gonna get some feedback, but it's gonna get some extremely negative feedback. But it is one step they could take.
Paul, the imposition of the denial of rights by imposing high taxes and regulations is well adjudicated. There's lots of law on it. Mm-hmm. Think of liquor, for example. Federal tax stamp. Used to be, or is it called a bond stamp? They could do it. What bothers you and I is that we would hate to wait 3, 4, 5, 6 years for that to work its way through the courts. There may be, because that law is so firmly understood, firmly adjudicated, it could be in the high courts fairly quickly. I don't think they want that. I don't think they want to lose before an election.
Yep. Kevin Baker says that Tucson is in Pima County.
Thank you, Kevin.
Charlie, this is an unusual one. This might be a fun road to go down. If you are a firearm, what firearm would you be?
Firearm would you be? Charlie Chambers, go ahead, Paul.
I think I'd be probably a single shot 12 gauge, old, slow, can mostly still get the job done.
Right. Are you required, do you remember years ago, Mad Ogre? Who am I thinking of?
George Hill.
George Hill and Mark Walters would do this. Well, if we're cooking hamburgers on a gas grill or a charcoal grill with this kind of basting sauce, what kind of firearm would you wear? And they were wonderfully creative with that. I love it. I think I'd be a 4-foot piece of cast iron pipe with a nail on the end to be a slam fire shotgun. I'm just that crude and effective.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Stephen Legacy over on Facebook points out, and it just covered our faces too, but HR 1207 bill would cut online ammo sales and make dealers report buyers.
Right. The ability to regulate is the ability to destroy. I absolutely understand that. Well, California was doing that. You had to get a background check every time you bought ammo. Mm-hmm. Now, here's the ridiculous part. You couldn't import ammo into the state. I would routinely train in Nevada. No, officer, I didn't buy this in Nevada. I bought it in California. I'm just returning with my own ammunition that I didn't use when I went to training in Nevada. Or did I buy it there? Prove me wrong.
Right. How can you tell if this 9mm federal cartridge is different from this 9mm federal cartridge? Of course, they could go to the micro stamping that works so well.
Thank you.
Wow. Yeah. We're and I'm just going to put this, I'm not going to put it up on the screen. For what it's worth, Pete over at Gun Website says Pima County, Arizona is almost twice the size of the state of Connecticut. Not that Connecticut is a huge state, but...
You're saying there's a lot of sagebrush in Arizona and they haven't corralled it all.
Yeah.
Paul, did we talk about the poll? Was it from Rasmussen? Yeah.
Yes.
Did we talk about that yet?
Not yet. Let's do that.
Well, we mentioned, one of our listeners just brought it up, thank you, that Biden was threatening executive action for gun control. And I said, I don't think they want a loss right before the fall elections. There's a new Rasmussen survey out that, as they describe it here, might pop the needle, pop the balloon of gun control. right after his press release where President Biden said, yes, getting effective gun control is a matter of timing, means he's going to wait till there's been a horrific atrocity and then say, yes, now we need. He's going to do that when he gets a bunch of media to roll over the voters that are just headline surfing. Okay, the Rasmussen survey, 64% of likely voters, okay, that's who the politicians should listen to, don't think it's likely that mass shootings can be prevented. Fewer than 1 in 4 think mass shootings can be prevented. Now, depending on how they ask that, I might actually be in that 1 in 4, 23% actually, because I think the media and politicians create the hype that turns the murderers into celebrities. But I think this was focused instead if they thought gun control would be effective to stop mass murder.
Yeah. Kevin Baker says, never let a crisis go to waste, the famous Rahm Emanuel policy. But I'm with you, Rob. I'm one of the 23% that believes we can stop mass shootings. And the way we stop mass shootings is to make sure the majority of the population is armed and carries their firearms with them.
Paul, that we've known that is true for a long time. When we interviewed, there are some surviving terrorists. Their motivation was, I wanted celebrity. I wanted to promote my cause with violence. Failing is not. Failing is the antithesis of that. 2 jihadis who go to the Draw Mohammed cartoon contest and get cut down in the parking lot doesn't look very good. That's not a real effective recruiting poster. Hi, be a jihadi, get shot up by a 64-year-old cop who knows how to press the trigger. And, that's infinitely true for attacks on churches and schools. People want to be celebrities. They don't want to be the goat that gets shot by the school janitor when he starts shooting up the ceiling tiles in the school cafeteria and shouts yeehaw and gets shot in the back.
Right. Well, I want to, well, I don't know if we want to get into this one or not.
Command decision.
Ron says open carry prevents a lot. It might, but it's an extreme disadvantage for those who are the ones open carrying.
It's a preventative right up until it's not.
Right. That's exactly right.
Where I saw it and it escaped me where it happened. A bunch of kids planned to snatch this open carrier's gun, and they did. I think he was just inside a store. It's grab, push, handoff, run. Yeah, snatch and grab.
We do not have time today. I've got a very long story as to why I do not believe any longer that open carry is a good idea. I'll fight for your right to do it. You absolutely have the right to do it. The decision is yours. I just think there are better options. But you darn sure have the right to do it. You have the right to. My belief is outside. Let's put the laws aside. What it should be is that you have the right to open carry anything you want to carry, from a 22 all the way up to, if you can drag it behind you, a howitzer. Whatever you want, that's fine. I believe that should be what the laws are. I just don't think it's the smartest idea for you to do it.
Paul, I forget who it was. It was a pro-gun advocate in the Oakland area, the Bay Area. And he would go to a county fair, and I think for a while he was opening carrying in a suit and tie. The guy looked infinitely sharp. No, it wasn't a suit and tie. Shirt was tucked in. There's the holster. Spiffy rig, a barbecue gun par excellence. And he goes, yes, there are honest gun owners in the world. I'm one of them. Come meet me. Come join me. Come become one like me. But he realized it was a sales job. That's why he dressed like a salesman.
Yes.
Bless his heart. Exactly right. Some two bubbas with their shirt tails hanging out are not salesmen. They have the right to be there, but they're not doing a good job of selling their ideas.
I'm going to tell you who else isn't a salesman. As a matter of fact, who may be a salesman for the other side is the person that gets dressed up in camo, full battle rattle, and straps an AR on and goes walking into the Walmart and scares the hell out of grandma. Is it your right to do it in certain states? You bet it is. And I'm glad it is, and I'll fight to keep it your right. I just think it's a bad idea.
Let me offer a contrary point of view. You are absolutely right. We recently had police from all over the state in my community. We had National Guard all over. Some of them were parked outside of the local gun shops that were closed because we were trying to put the town together. In those few days, Paul, I did open carry. I thought it was a calming influence. Cops saw it, and in this case, National Guard and battle rattle, and we're all, good on you guys. Want some water? Want some barbecue rather than eating MREs? And they go, now we got all the barbecue we want. People have already taken care of us. Again, context is everything. These guys weren't posers. They were the real deal, there for their purpose that was widely appreciated.
Okay, I'm gonna put this one out there without comment. I'm just gonna. I don't know if you can. It's kind of probably small on your screen.
Yeah, but he's right. Kevin is right. Paul, do you remember the sock in Florida?
Yes.
The gun sock we'd seen?
Several people wore it while we were down there.
Okay, we need to explain what we're talking about. Florida has no open carry provision. The reason this comes up is you could be wearing lightweight clothing, the wind blows your clothing, you print, maybe you expose. Was that brandishing? Depends on the jurisdiction and the crazy prosecutor you draw. So they should have an open carry provision to stop, not negligent, what's the word?
Inadvertent exposure.
And prosecution that was designed to make a name for the prosecutor rather than actually protect the public from real harm. So they had this little cozy that you could stretch over your gun, completely hid the thing, except it's very obvious that it's a gun in a holster.
Yeah, absolutely.
Watch out for grandmom, she's packing. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me go back.
By the way, our local... Paul, have you been in touch with guys doing training in your area? Our classes are just full to overflowing.
Well, I've got a armed citizens rules of engagement Masada U group. Class coming up in June. I don't. Most of the people that do training here locally also travel outside the area, but. Anyway, I know that we've got limited space for this Mag 40, and it really looks like a sellout, and we're still several months away.
Okay. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Consistent with other things I've seen.
All right. Well, we are, about 20 seconds, 30 seconds away from the top of the hour. I would have loved to have gotten more comments up, but as usual, we've got, we've got over 70 comments in the half an hour. I'm not going to be able to get all those up. So I want to just say thank you to everybody that has been commenting. It makes it fun for us when you comment, and I love just bringing these up and carrying the show where you want the show to go. Rob, before we take off, man, it's probably going to take a few minutes to an hour, but let everybody know where they can find all your stuff.
I host the Self-Defense Gun Stories podcast and co-host on Paul's Polite Society podcast. My blog is at slowfacts.wordpress.com. From there, my writing's carried at Clash Daily, and at the Daily Surge. I write the Armed Citizens column on Amaland. And if I've been good, Paul will invite me back in a couple of weeks.
Very cool. All right. Well, as my Alexa on the side over here lets us know, it's the bottom of the hour. That means I need to shut this down. I need to get ready. We're going to be going to the Armed Society podcast. If you want to watch that, that's over on the Polite Society Podcast Facebook page and YouTube channel. That'll be coming up at 6 p.m. Central Time. As Rob and I know, that's really the only time zone that matters. And folks, I want to thank you for watching today. Come join us tomorrow. Tomorrow's commentator
Guest
is Teresa Einecker from CNJFL.
Ah.
So, everybody, again, thanks for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.